Yeah, last week I sent a video which was incomplete, and today I want to add on our first video I sent on sampling. In that video I introduced sampling and the importance of picking a sample to represent a whole. We said a sample is a part of a population. Yeah, due to several reasons we fail to study a population, and so we resort to studying the sample, and after studying the sample we draw conclusions on what about the population. Yeah, okay. So today I'm going to continue with the sampling techniques. Yeah, we said a sample is a part of a whole. Yeah, so assuming my population is made up of 100 elements and I need to pick out 80 to represent the 100. So how do I get the 80 from the 100? That drives us or takes us to the sampling technique, the method you use to pick part of the elements to be included in the sample. Okay, we said the formulas we can use to determine the sample size or how big the sample should be. Yeah, for instance, the Yamane formula, and based on that formula you can know that if I have a population of 100, then I have to choose 80 people to represent the 100. Yeah, there are other methods, like you can use there's a table you can use, and the findings from the table won't differ a lot from the ones you get from using the formulas. Okay, so in today's lecture I want to know how do I pick my sample elements, and I'll tell you that you can do that picking using two broader methods. Yeah, and that's the probability sampling techniques and the non-probability sampling techniques. The probability sampling techniques are those whereby every element has a chance to be selected, and then the non-probability sampling techniques are those whereby not all elements have a chance to be selected. Yeah, remember you're talking about being selected to be part of the sample size. Yeah, I'm going to use a case of BBA, assuming I want to study about BBA students, maybe how they find e-learning or the effect of e-learning on the academic satisfaction of BBA students. And I don't have enough time and money to cover all the 100 BBA students. And using a formula, I realized that I need to do 80. If I do 80, I'll be good off. Yeah. So I need to get the 80 who will represent the 100. And I'm presented with the two broader categories, the probability and then the non-probability sampling techniques. Under the probability sampling techniques, every BBA student will have a chance to be selected to be part of that study. Whereas for the non-probability, not all BBA students will have a chance to be selected and take part of the study. So let me go and let's talk about the various sampling techniques under these two broader categories. I will start with those under probability sampling techniques or methods. So under this, we have methods like simple random sampling. Under simple random sampling, if I need 80 students from a class or maybe a class of 100, I can write down all the names of the elements, in this case students, and fold papers. I can write them on papers. That's the method I can use. Fold them, I put in a jar, and after I choose the 80. So the essence of this is to give every element an equal chance to be selected. So under simple random sampling, every element will have an equal chance to be selected. If I'm using my example, it would mean that every BBA student will get a chance to be selected to be part of the study. Alright, the other method we have is stratified random sampling. So you may find that in that class we're having groupings. Yeah, let me use the easiest grouping which is gender, male or female. Okay. So I want each group to be well represented. Yeah. So what I do in such case, we use stratified random sampling. Okay. So stratified random sampling helps us to give an equal representation. Equal, not equal in sense of number, but equal in regards to how each grouping or subgroup contributes to the entire population. All right. So if I realize that there are 60 ladies or there are 60 females, and then there are 40 males in the class, using stratified random sampling, I will make sure that if the male make up 60% of the population, then they should make up 60% of the sample Yeah, if the male make up 40% of the population, then they should make or contribute to 40% of the sample I'm looking out for. That is stratified random sampling. So in the stratified random sampling, you realize or you pick out elements from each group in the population. So these groupings could be based on gender, it could be religion, yeah, whereby I choose people from each religion. I choose some Catholics, Muslims, etc. It could be region, people from the East, Central, etc. Altogether. That is stratified random sampling. Okay. So if I need 60, I've realized the female contributes to 60% of my population, and meaning I have to select 60%, or my sample should contribute 60% of the female. Yeah. So the issue is, how do I get from the female? Yeah, they are 60 and they are to contribute 60%. Yeah. So you realize that let's do a simple calculation here to know if there are 60, if there are 60 women or there are 60 female. Yeah, and I want them to contribute to 60% of the 80. Yeah, if we calculate, how many will those be? Okay. Okay. So you realize that if there are 60 female out of 100, okay, and we need to have 60% of the sample to be made up of female, it would mean that 48 out of the 80 people I want should be female altogether. So it means I have to select 48 female to be part of the sample. And to do that, recall there are 60 female in the entire class, but I need only 48 of them. Okay, since it's a probability sampling technique, I'll make sure that these 48 are still randomly selected from the 60 female. Yeah, let me repeat this. Okay, I want each gender to be represented based on how big it contributes or how big it is. Yeah, and I realized that the female make up 60% of the population. Yeah, we are 100 BBS students and 60 of those are female. Recall I need 80. Yeah. In my sample, I need a sample of 80 students. Okay. So if I know the class has 60 female, yeah, altogether, and I want 60% of the 80 to be female. Yeah. If you do simple calculation, you'll find out that in such cases we need to have 48, or we need to choose 48 of the female to be part of the sample size. Yeah, so it would mean that out of the 80 people I'm looking out for, 48 should be female. But the issue is, the problem comes in that the ladies or the female are 60, but you need only 48 of them. Yeah, so since this is a random procedure, it would mean that I would randomly select 48 out of the 60 female to be part of the sample size, and I'll do the same with the male. Okay, so if the male make up 40% of the population, it would mean they should make up 40% of the sample, and my sample size is 80. So 40% of 80 is 32. Okay, so it would mean that I need 32 male. Yeah, but recall the male are 40 in the class. So I would still randomly select 32 male from the 40 who are in class. Yeah, and I'm to do that using a random method. I can write down all the names of the 40 male in class. I fold them equally. I put in a jar, I close my eyes, I shake a bit, and then I randomly select the 32 to be part of our sample. So that is stratified random sampling. Okay, and then we have systematic sampling. Yeah, this is another probability sampling technique. Yeah, with the systematic sampling, we sample following a given interval. Yeah, we take every ith element. Yeah, following a given interval. So I could say I can take every fourth person, every third person, every second person. So you count 1, 2, 3. I select the third person. 1, 2, 3. I select the third person. Yeah, that is systematic sampling. And I know we used to use this method when we were still young, like to choose people when we are playing football. They say Subi bat all together. Yeah, so you find that was taking an interval of 2. Subi bat, meaning but would be the second. Yeah, then you repeat Subi but would be the second. Yeah, so you find that these methods, we've been using them in our daily life. We've been using them. Okay. So the challenge comes in when it comes to how do you determine the interval? How do I determine that I need the second person? How do I determine that I need the third person? How do I determine that I need the fifth person? Okay, that I'll be taking an interval of 5, an interval of 2, an interval of 3. Yeah. So we use a simple method. You just get the population divided by the sample size to know the number of people you will take altogether. Assuming, of course, this may not apply a lot to my class of 100. Yeah, I need 80 from 100. Systematic may not make a lot of sense in such situations because it will give me like 1 point something. Yeah. So I was saying, I wouldn't use this method to such a small group, but assuming I have a population of 1,500, yeah, and I need a sample of 310. So there I can use this method. It can make some sense, yeah. So in this situation, I would get my 1,500. Yeah. So you get the 1,500 and you divide by 310. I guess the interval would be around 3. Yeah, so there we would say I will take every third person. Okay, but still to make it random or to avoid any bias, you select the starting point randomly. The person I start with, I will select that person randomly. Okay, to avoid bias. Yeah, so because we used to, I recall when we used to do Subi-bat when we are choosing people to play football with. If I want a person to be on my team, I can arrange them in a way that by the time I say Subi-bat, yeah, that person is the bat, assuming I'm bat. I can arrange them in the way that the person I want, I make the person to be the second. The other person I want, I make the person to be the fourth. The other person I want, I make the person to be the sixth, and so on and so forth. So to avoid such kind of a thing, you have to arrange the elements in a given order, and you select the first person randomly. So the starting point is selected randomly to avoid bias. Okay. All right. So now let's switch to the non-probability sampling techniques. Yeah, I repeat, with these techniques, the non-probability sampling techniques, not every element has a chance to be selected. Some elements are denied a chance to be part of the sample. Okay, so here we can talk of techniques like snowballing. Yeah, snowballing is a technique, at times it's called referral, whereby you choose one element and that element leads you to the other. And we use this mainly if it's hard to find elements. Yeah, they're hidden. Yeah, assuming I'm looking for drunkards. I'm carrying out a study on drunkards. Yeah, we're in a Christian university. Some people may fear to declare that they drink. So what I do is I choose, if I get a chance to know one drunkard or one drunko, that drunko will lead me to another. So I ask them, I interact with them, with the person, and after I ask the person, who do you usually go out with to drink? Yeah, who is your birthday in drinking? And then the person says, I drink with Ronald. I go to Ronald, I talk to Ronald, and I'll be like, okay, Ronald, who else do you usually drink with? And when you're going to drink, who do you go with? Ronald will refer me to another person, and so on and so forth. That's snowballing. So one element leads you to. Yeah, even the police uses this method a lot when they're getting thieves. They get one thief, yeah, 2 slaps. Of course, for them, the way they do it, they will not ask you, please, please, 3 slaps. You say, you know what? I often go with Chagulan. Yeah, so they go to Chagulan and they're like, who do you usually go with? I still with Ronald, and so on and so forth. So one element leads you to the other, and we use it in situation whereby it's hard to get the elements. Talk of studies whereby you have to interview prostitutes. Yeah, most people would fear to declare that they're prostitutes, but if you get a chance to know one, that one will lead you to the other, and so on and so forth up to when you get the number one. Yeah, just to remind you, the non-probability sampling techniques, we use them when you're looking out mainly for qualitative data, and then the probability when you're looking for quantitative data. Quantitative, we're talking about numerical. Qualitative, expressions, words, etc. Okay. The other method we have here is convenience sampling. Yeah, you pick out those who are convenient. Yeah, those you find friendly, you find too easy to access. Some you find them accidentally. So meaning whoever is not in the convenience place for you will not be selected. And thus it's a biased technique or method of getting the sampling elements. Okay, then we have quarter sampling. Quarter is like stratified, but the difference is with the quarter, after knowing that I need 48 female from the 60, I will select the methods I use to select the 48 from the 60 will not be random. Yeah, I can use any other, like I can use convenience to select the 48 female out of the 60 female, or if I want to select the 32 male from this 40 male. Yeah, under quarter sampling, I will select these elements using a non-probability technique. Yeah, that's why we are putting them this side. But the way you come up with the categories, the percentage, just like for quarters for stratified random sampling. But the difference is when you're selecting the elements, you select them using a non-probability sampling method, or you select them non-randomly. Yeah, I repeat, like we saw under stratified how you determine that you need 48 out of the 60. After knowing that, decide, instead of using a random way or a random method to select the 48 out of the 60, under quarter you will select this 48 non-randomly, like using convenience, etc. And then we have purposive, where we select those elements we think can serve the purpose of the study or can give us the information. You be there, you think, you judge that maybe this person can serve the purpose, and you take. So whoever is on the wrong side may not be selected, and actually may find that those people have the information you need. Yeah, but out of judgment, you leave them out. So these are our sampling techniques. Please, you can read more and more about them. I've attached a full document, yeah, giving details about each of these sampling techniques. Okay, so after sampling, the other step will be going down to collect the data or to collect the information. So I'm going to briefly talk about data collection. Yeah, you'll go and read more about it. Yeah, so after knowing that I need 80 people and I've gotten them, I've used the better or the best sampling technique and I've selected the 80 people. So the next step is getting information from those 80 people. Yeah, and we are saying there are several methods we use. Yeah, so for the primary data or for that data we'll be selecting for the very first time from the 80 elements, we can use methods like interviews or interviewing. Yeah, we can apply or use questionnaires, we can use observation, etc. Okay, so you'll find that some apply to quantitative studies and others apply for to qualitative studies. Yeah, I'll talk about questionnaires. Questionnaires are used for quantitative studies, and a questionnaire is a list of questions. Yeah, and those questions are in line with what you want to find out altogether. So if I'm interested in finding out the effectiveness of e-learning, yeah, or the effect of e-learning on academic satisfaction of BBS students, I will list questions in that line. Ask you how many times have you logged in, the challenges you're facing, etc. Yeah, so you give me answers to the questions asked. Yeah, so you'll find that we have two broader types of questions in a questionnaire. We have the open-ended questions and the closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions are those questions whereby I leave you to give me the answer. I ask you, what challenges have you faced during e-learning? And you give me the several challenges. I've never logged in. I log in and they log me out. Whenever I log in, I find it's full. etc. That's open-ended. I leave it to you to give me the answers. But at times I can restrict you. I put for you the answers and then I ask you to choose, to tick the most appropriate answer. That's closed-ended. I ask, what challenges have you faced while using e-learning? And I put 1, lack of data. 2, poor network. 3, I'm always kicked out. 4, so you come taking the ones which you find appropriate. Okay, those are the closed-ended questions. Yeah, and then we have the interview, yeah, whereby we have a one-on-one interaction with an element. Okay, so it can be face-to-face or via a phone call. Yeah, you ask a person question and then they give you answers. Yeah, those are interviews, but all these have to be done having in mind the questions or the answers you're looking out for. For all these, you should be having certain answers or certain questions you're trying to answer. So you align your questions in accordance to what you want to find out. So I'll request you to go and read more about this sampling technique. I mean, these data collection methods. The advantages of using a questionnaire, the disadvantages of using a questionnaire, the advantages of using an interview guide, disadvantages of using an interview guide. I will put for you some sample notes about the same, but you'll do further reading about them on your own. Yeah, of course, observation is another method, mainly for collecting qualitative data, whereby you just sit and observe the elements. You can do with a checklist of what you expect, and then you'll be observing. A person can be looking at you while the person is collecting data. Together, observing. Yeah. So observation is another method of data collection. Thank you very much. And please, I repeat, you should always ask in case of finding some challenges, and we move on. Thank you very much.